Hello and welcome to episode 11 of our monthly election video series, Election Connection. I am Scott Jarrett.
And I'm Ray Valenzuela. We are your elected directors from Maricopa County. Each month we have a new episode of Election Connection,
where you, the viewers, can submit questions to us.
The question in today's episode comes from our April Just the Facts newsletter,
where you, the voters, can sign up at justthefacts.vote. Okay, here's the question. Can someone else pick up or drop off my early ballot? And I don't think they're meaning me, Scott Jarrett. I think they're meaning them themselves. So can someone else pick up or drop off my early ballot?
Well, again, another great question from our studious audience and participants. This one's going to be short for a change. And the answer is yes and no. So next question. No, actually, the answer is yes. It truly is yes and no. The answer is yes, but by law, it has to be a family member, household member, or designated caregiver according to Arizona law. And for those election geeks that want to Google Arizona Revised Statute 16-1005. So that's the yes part. No, if it's not one of those. So it's got to be the voter, family member, household member, or designated caregiver. So that was an easy one. Thank you, audience.
Well, in Arizona, right, our laws provide a lot of ability and different options for voters to be able to participate, whether that is through the mail or early in person, on election day in person, or drop off that early ballot. But there are some restrictions, as Ray just described. So those, if someone does need to deliver that ballot to one of those drop-offs, has to be a family member, household member, or a caregiver, as Ray described.
Absolutely.
So is that it? Is that all our questions for today?
No, actually, Scott, I have a question for you. And that question is, what is the process of hiring poll workers for elections? And how do you balance the number of Democrats and Republicans hired? So obviously, how do you balance the recognized party participants for that?
Well, and that's another very good question. It's also a reminder of what a critical role our community plays in administering elections. It's not just us election officials that work full time out of the elections department. It is those, our friends, our families, our neighbors that live in the community and then come out to support the election process. So in the 2022 general election, we hired nearly 3,000 temporary workers. 600 of those, or over 600 of those, worked out of the central count facility, and about 2,300 of those worked out at our voting locations. And first, state law does require that we have bipartisan representation throughout all of the processes, whether it's at the voting location or here at central count. And what does bipartisan mean? Well, really, it means multiple parties. Typically, people think of Republicans and Democrats, but in Arizona, we have a Libertarian Party, and we also have a lot of voters. And in Maricopa County, our largest voting block is really those that are either registered as independent voters or haven't declared a party. So all of those, representation from all those different voting blocks, whether they're registered with one of those parties, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or a independent voter, come out and play a critical role. So state law requires that we have 2 members from the largest party represented in all of our voting locations. So we work very closely with the political parties, the county chairs for those parties. They will submit names or forward people to us to sign up through our website, getinvolved.maricopa.vote. To sign up, and then our recruiters make sure that we have that bipartisan representation in all of those voting locations. So in the November 2022 general election, we actually achieved a perfect, when you compare the number of Republicans and Democrats, we had 920 of each at our voting location. Well, that is a difficult bar to achieve. That's our goal, is to aim to get that nearly perfect, or that perfect number or balance. But there can be fallout as we're hiring. So we hired over 2,300 poll workers. In those last days, right before the election, we had about 20% of our poll workers fall out through attrition for various reasons. Maybe they got ill, they weren't able to support us. They had a conflict. They originally said that they could work, and then they just decided they couldn't. So we will have that fall off. And so sometimes we might not be exactly perfect. In November 2022, we were, but we strive for that perfection. And that'd be the same in our central count facilities, right? When we have our bipartisan processing boards, those are the board members that take that affidavit envelope that has that ballot that's returned to us. It's currently sealed in that. We need a bipartisan board, Republican and Democrat sitting next to each other. Take that ballot out to create that secret ballot. Again, bipartisan boards throughout. Our recruiters pay attention to that in their party when we do the hiring to ensure that we have that balanced support.
And I just want to add that I think you touched on it, the getinvolved.maricopa.vote. We plug that as much because, as Scott noted, it's not just for the polling place or vote centers. We have our signature verification teams. We have our processing teams. Everything we do has that required checks and balance, meaning we want that bipartisan board, a Dem and a Rep, but it could also be a Dem and a Libertarian as one of the recognized. It could be a newly formed party, no labels party, just recently submitted and were technically at this moment certified. So again, we want you and we want that checks and balances to have those bipartisan boards whenever and wherever we can, to include not only at the polling place, but at our central count location as a courier, picking up ballots, that kind of stuff. So again, one more plug, getinvolved.maricopa.vote.
And then there's no better way to get even more knowledgeable than actually come work elections. So we really welcome you in to join us in our future elections. So with that, I want to thank you for tuning in today.
And don't forget to submit your question in next month's Just the Facts newsletter, where we will answer more election questions that matter most to you. Thank you.